All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the special AI edition of our PickFu office hours. We do these every week on Thursdays. If you haven't been to one before, one of our team or a couple members of our team will hop on and just answer any questions you have about PickFu. And we'll cover new features or different workflows and best practices that we want to share and answer, like I said, any questions that you have. So really, if there are anything, if there's anything specific you'd like to learn or know more about, please add your question in the chat. Since we have a small group here today, we can also bring you on video or audio if you would like to. So just raise your hand in the chat if that's easier for you, but otherwise just feel free to drop your questions anytime and we'll keep an eye on things. This is our special AI edition where we're going to cover our AI and agentic features that we have for PickFu currently and touch a bit on what's coming next. It might cover some things that you've already used or that you're not aware of. So we do have some slides, and then we're going to be doing some live demo as well of each of these features and integrations. So, like I said, if there's anything specific that you want to know along the way, one question we do have right off the bat for everyone who is joining us is what AI tools like Claude or ChatGPT, things like that, is your team currently using? And then what other software is your team using as well? Like, do you use Slack or Microsoft Teams? Do you use Notion or Asana to track your work? All of those things can be kind of integrated with PickFu and the AI tools that we work with, and you can put together some pretty cool workflows with those. So if there's anything specific that you're using, feel free to name those tools in the chat, and we can make sure that we cover them specifically too. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started and start sharing the slides we've got. Cool. All right, so the theme for today is Human Insights AI Accelerated. Welcome. I saw a couple people just joined us. I'll just quickly recap for those who just hopped in here now that we've got a slightly bigger group. This is our special AI edition of the PickFu office hours. We're going to be covering PickFu's AI tools, integrations, our MCP server, examples and workflows that you can use today. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat anytime. Also, I just put out an ask if you're using any specific AI tools like Claude, ChatGPT, or if your team is using other tools like Slack or Notion or Asana a lot in your everyday workflows. Feel free to name those tools in the chat. We'd love to cover them specifically so we can tell you how PickFu fits in with them. So just drop in whatever AI tools or other software that you're using, and otherwise we'll go ahead and get started with our demo. But like I said, we'll be monitoring the chat for questions. All right, someone mentioned Claude Code. Awesome. We can definitely talk a little bit about that. All right, you can go to the next slide, Justin. Oh, we should introduce ourselves in case you don't know who we
Sure.
are. My name is Adrian. I'm the marketing lead at PickFu. This is Justin. He's one of our co-founders. Usually it's Katie, our customer success lead, who is leading these sessions, but she can't be here today, so we are taking over. All right, now you can move on. Okay, so main idea for today is being able to tap into real consumer insights using PickFu from the tools, the other tools that your team already uses. Like I mentioned, Claude, Notion, Slack, whatever you're using today, you can plug those into PickFu and not have to, use PickFu in your browser app like you normally would and be able to kind of integrate it more in depth with your existing workflows. So there's an example workflow right there, like maybe your team or AI creates some image options, copy options, design options, what have you. Um, then you can immediately test them using PickFu. And then using that feedback, you can bring the results back into the tools you're using, like Notion, or get a summary in Claude, iterate based on that feedback, retest, eliminate your weak options, and launch confidently. So it's a much faster testing workflow. You can move on. Yes, we will send the recording and this deck after. So a quick overview of what we'll cover today. We'll kind of cover the different services or areas that you can use PickFu or access PickFu from. We'll cover the AI tools that we have in the PickFu web app currently, which is, you've probably seen it, our sidebar kind of chatbot research assistant. And then most of what we'll cover is different use cases for our MCP connector, where you can connect PickFu to tools like Claude. And we'll cover a bunch of different use cases and really whatever you want to know about that. And then we'll touch on a couple of other ways you can use it. Maybe if people are technical here, our CLI or API, or we'll at least preview what's coming next and answer your questions. All right, so quick overview. These are the four kind of main surfaces where you can access PickFu right now. So you already know PickFu on the web when you log into your PickFu account online. We have our web app where you can build your surveys and access your projects and your team activity and all that good stuff. That's the main PickFu. As far as AI goes, we do have a PickFu AI chatbot in the sidebar. It's kind of like an always-on research assistant that you can chat with to help you get best practices. It can build surveys for you. It can help you analyze your results. And we'll show that off a little bit at the beginning here. Then we have the MCP. So basically running PickFu from any MCP compatible tool like Claude, ChatGPT, Cursor, Notion, other AI assistants. And that way you can chat with PickFu and work with PickFu directly from those tools. And then we'll probably just briefly touch on these other two things today, unless anyone wants to go in depth on them. But we have our CLI. Honestly, personally can't talk to CLI a lot in depth, but I'll pass it to Justin if he wants to share more about that. But you can run PickFu from your terminal or from Claude Code with the CLI. You can also build or access PickFu via API if you want to build custom integrations or setups with your own product. Anything to add here, Justin?
Um, Not really. I mean, yeah, definitely curious to hear if people want to dive into any of these in more specific, or if anyone's tried using any of them. Definitely drop it in the chat. Curious if anyone's had any experience either with our MCP CLI or API or building with other people's, and what kind of interesting wins or learnings they've had from it.
Yeah, definitely. What level of, I guess, comfortableness you have with the
Yeah.
MCP or MCPs in general would be helpful to know for sure. All right, cool. And then you'll see that coming soon box. If you're in Slack, spoiler alert, we are planning on launching a Slack app soon where you can tag PickFu in Slack and launch surveys and do all the things you can do like you can with the MCP, but right from Slack. So exciting stuff. Stay tuned.
Yeah, they could probably, if you're interested in trying, let us reach out to the team maybe after Adrian sends
Yes.
the email afterwards, and we can get you early access to try it out because we are gathering feedback on it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you're interested, definitely let us know. All right, you can move on. So first, I really quickly wanted to go through the PickFu AI research assistant in the PickFu web app. So if you want to flip over, Justin, and we can kind of show off how it works in the dashboard.
Yeah. So I was kind of playing around with it, but I'll probably start a new one here. So it's right here, PickFu AI. On most pages, it'll show up, and you could just ask it open-ended questions. Um, Let me see if I can start a new one. So, um, I mean, we could try one of these pre-built prompts. But you could ask it anything about the content on the page, or if you want to start building a new poll. We're constantly changing this and improving it. So let us know if you run into any issues with it. You should also be able to ask it pretty general questions about best practices and anything that help content that might be out there around how to run a poll. Um, Kind of slow right now. If you're on a survey, so this is just kind of summarizing some of the stuff that's going on the dashboard. But if we were to go to a specific survey, um, you could ask it to analyze what can I improve about option B, since that's mine, and it'll have the context of this survey result. So it should be able to read through all the responses and kind of do analysis on it. And so, you could either use our AI through this. You could also ask these same questions, obviously using the MCP in Claude or any of the other AI tools. Just pass it the URL and tell it to fetch the survey, do some analysis on it. Um, yeah, I don't know why it's so slow today, but
Yeah, usually it's not that slow. Live demos always is what it is.
live demos.
Live demos.
Um, yeah, so that's PickFu AI. yeah, so it'll give you feedback. You could ask it for follow-up polls. Um, and almost anything you can do with the MCP, you can do here. It's what powers it underneath. So all the capabilities that you can do um, using the MCP and Claude, you could also do in here. And we're going to keep improving this agent and the Slack agent to do even more things beyond that. But just stay tuned on that.
You can give it a little thumbs up or a thumbs down in the corner currently if you want to share feedback on the answer to, and we'll see that, and it helps us improve.
Hmm. Cool. Was there
Cool.
anything else I should touch on the PickFu in the web?
I don't think so. This was the main thing. You'll be able to see it on the sidebar of almost every page in your PickFu account. I think
Yeah.
there's a couple pages where you can't access it right now, but in the survey builder, on your poll results page, on your dashboard, and I think on your projects page are the main areas you can use it and ask questions. So it's just kind of a helpful little assistant, especially a lot of customers have questions around like how best to phrase their question or how best to set up their test, or, if you just want some help with analysis, it's good for all those things.
Yep. Cool. Um, yeah, I can take over from here. So hopefully a lot of you are familiar with MCP. It sounds like if you're using Cloud Code and things like that, you probably are. But just for those that aren't familiar, it stands for Model Context Protocol. And basically what it is just a way for AI models to communicate with other services. So whether that's like what Adrian was saying, it could be with Notion, it could be with Asana, Canva. Pretty much all the tools now will have some kind of way to connect to each other so that AI models can either fetch data or take action on your behalf. The nice thing about the MCP is that we are trying to bake in almost all the functionality that you can do on the web into the MCP. So that goes from everything from finding surveys and seeing what you've done, checking on the status of them, obviously reading the results, but also drafting new surveys, publishing surveys, tagging, creating projects, like kind of all the organizational stuff that you may have done on the web, but maybe have found to be tedious. It's actually really nice to be able to do it with the MCP. So basically, hey, tag all the last 20 surveys that I've done. And it's quite good at coming up with different tags and applying them for you. Something that's new to the MCP that we never really had is also just image gen. Some of you might already, I think someone said they use a different service for image gen, but if you don't have one already, the PickFu MCP does have an image gen capability in there. So that you can kind of do these iterative loops of reading through the responses from um, on your survey and seeing what they said about, let's say, like option B, like what I was showing before, and then using our image gen to create new variations and then automatically create new tests. So it kind of makes a nice iterative loop. So we can show that off a little bit. Let me see what the other slides we had here. So like Adrian said, pretty much any service that allows you to do custom connectors. So some exceptions would be Gemini doesn't really have I don't think they allow custom connectors. ChatGPT, you got to go into developer mode. We're waiting for our app to be accepted into the application marketplace. But pretty much other things will allow you to connect to custom connectors. On Notion, if you have a business plan, you can create agents, and I can show that if anyone's interested in that. But a lot of other services allow custom connectors. They may not call it MCP, they may call it connectors, but just look for how to add a connector. You can go to pickfu.com/docs, and we have some integration. Yeah, Adrian dropped it in the chat, some integration directions for all these, and I'll show it in a minute as well.
Mhm.
So as I already touched on this stuff. One of the things that people ask is like, well, why should I use the MCP in my own AI chat versus like on our web? And I think the biggest distinction is that if you're already doing a lot of your work in Claude or ChatGPT or even Notion AI, then it already has a lot of knowledge about you and your business and your products that you're working on, and that's actually going to be really helpful for when it's doing analysis of the PickFu surveys that you've run, or creating new ones. And so your role in AI chat is always going to have a lot more context than we'll ever be able to have about your business because you're probably, uploading data sets from your performance or your reading reviews of your products and things like that. And so it's just going to have a lot better context around new ideas that it could test for you, or maybe things that you've already done that you don't need to retest. So that's kind of the reason that it's it's more useful, I think, when you can bring PickFu into where you're already doing other AI work. All right. So we can try a few of these prompts live today. Let me see. I'll probably just hop over. Yeah, let me hop
Yeah,
over.
you can just hop over. We
Okay.
could demo the setup real quick for
Yeah. So if you're not familiar, so this is Claude, so I'll kind of hop through a bunch of them. But if you're not familiar with it, you go to settings, you go to connectors. You can see I have a bunch of different connectors here. Um, Add custom connector. So we're not in the Claude marketplace yet, so you would add custom connector, call it whatever you want to refer to it, but PickFu, and then it would be this, and it would be OAuth. So you don't have to do anything here, but once you add it, um, you'll be asked to authorize it. Um, and then that'll take you to your PickFu account. So you need to be signed into your PickFu account. And then once you authenticate and authorize it, it'll come back to Claude and you'll be all set. So at that point, you can just do things like this, grab the last 10 surveys from PickFu. Um, Actually, I just wanted the published ones. Um, let's take a look at the first one. Or if you have a specific survey ID, you can pop it in here, the URL. It can work off any of those things. Um, One of the things that we just added to our MCP is the ability to preview stuff um, within the chats. So a bunch of the uh, I guess modern AI chats support this new protocol that allows us to preview data instead of just text. So that's kind of nice. Where when you're drafting and you're looking at results, we could actually kind of render like a mini version of the survey. So you don't have to go off and go back to the web to look at it. So this is the one I was looking at on the PickFu website. And so this is the same one. So again, I could um, help me analyze why option B lost, and then generate two new variations for me. Let's see if that works. Let me see other tips. You obviously don't need to be running Opus 5 high. I know I get that question a lot. Obviously, you could use something lower if you're worried about your session limits or whatever. So Sonnet or something like that would be fine. Um,
One tip, if you're using your own images, not generating them in here, you will want to get a URL for them, like a hosted image URL, instead of
yeah,
pasting them or attaching them, because it won't be able to, it's a limitation on like Claude or AI chats side. They can't pass it like an attached image to PickFu. It has to be a hosted link.
yeah. So if you're trying to create a new survey from scratch with images, Um, I know that when you're chatting with AI, you can just drop the images in and it can see it, but there's a security limitation that doesn't allow the chat models to send that data to third-party applications. And so, like Adrian said, if you can grab a public URL, so maybe it's the actual Amazon listing image URL or um, what's a cat box like so we found this
Yeah.
website that's incredibly easy. You just drag in a material, it'll immediately show you the URL, and like there's no ads or anything like that. So it's super easy. You just drop it in and we'll be able to see it. So, but if it's working off any existing survey, so in this case, uh, I was analyzing this survey, and so why it's working here is that we're passing down the image URLs, and so we're able to then pass the image URLs back to the image gen and generate these new variations, which are very nice. So those are the images that our AI image gen created. And so now let's build a new testing these new variations against the original option B. So it should draft it. It probably won't publish it right away. You know, it kind of depends on the guidance that you've given it to in the past. Um, but typically, when you're working with these MCP things, when it's a destructive, they call them destructive, but like when it's writing data, they will typically ask you for permission unless you've explicitly already said that you have permission to do those kinds of things. So I've already given it permission. Otherwise, it would say like, "Hey, do you allow PickFu to save survey?" So you can see that this is already drafted. These are the three. I can click over. Oh, all right. Where is it? So you can see the draft here. Exactly what we wanted. And if I go back, I could say actually I wanted 15 people and targeting women. The yeah, women. So it's able to look up all the different targeting that we have. So if you don't have to go and look through the list. You could say like, hey, are you able to target, dog owners in Germany? And it'll see all the capabilities that we have and either find that direct match, or AI is also pretty good at suggesting other close targeting as well. So and here we go. So now it's targeting 15 females. Um, Tells me the costs, and so let's publish it. Let's see if this works. So what's really nice is that with the image gen and launching polls, you could actually do a pretty nice iterative loop of, starting with your image, maybe against your competition, getting feedback on it, letting it know which one is yours, and then asking it to keep creating variations and testing variations. Um, Obviously, in something like Claude Chat, like you have to keep driving it. But if you were to do something in Claude Code, you could actually use the CLI or the MCP, and you could actually have it run that full loop itself. So you could tell it like, "Hey, don't stop until you've found a really good winner," or keep doing this iteration until you find a winner, and then retest it against my competition, and then you could stop once you've beat the competition, and it'll kind of keep creating variations and testing it, and it's pretty cool actually. So that's kind of the power of being able to script it in a command line interface. Yeah, so this is running now, and that was pretty easy. I didn't have to go to the website at all to analyze it, create variations, and to publish a new poll.
And since we have two surveys now for this logo, you could organize your tests from here as well. So if you're into organizing your work in
Mm,
PickFu into like relevant projects or tags, you can
yeah,
do that from Claude too,
let's make a project for these two surveys. Add some tags also.
which just helps you find things easier. Like you can ask Claude later, hey, pull all the surveys from my logo rebrand and figure out what I should test next or whatever you want to know. Or every survey tags rebrand.
Yeah, so right now it's just looking for all the relevant tags that I already have. If it doesn't find any, it'll probably suggest or create some new ones and apply them. So while we're waiting for that, I will hop over just to show you ChatGPT. It's quite similar. Um, so this is the one I've been playing with. I'm logged into a different account, so I kind of see different data here. But let me just show you because it's a little trickier here. So if you go to settings and you go to plugins, the first thing you have to do is developer mode, and you have to turn on developer mode. I believe you need to check this box as well. And then what you can do is when you go to plugins and you go to browse plugins, you can actually do new plugin since it's not one that exists. And then you, again, type in PickFu here um, and put the URL mcp.pickfu.com/mcp here. And then once you're done, leave this because it's OAuth. Again, authorize it. It'll take you through the whole thing back to PickFu to connect, and then you could use it. And the way that you use it more, it's a little bit more explicit in ChatGPT, um, or at least it's more reliable when you just tag it. So like you just to like get it going. And then I think once you get it going, it's fine. So as you can see, I didn't tag it again, but I just wanted to make sure that I was going to use that connection in the very beginning. So I tagged it, and then from that, it kind of has the context. So it also does the previewing as you're looking at results or drafting things. So that's kind of it in ChatGPT. Let me see if this finished. Okay, cool. So it made this project, which I'll just open up. So projects are just kind of folders in PickFu where you can group things together, and then once there's enough surveys, we'll do an AI summary here. Yeah, it's just a way to organize things, and then we also have the tags as well. So you could see all the different tags here. So if you were searching in your poll list and you want to click on all the AI generated, see all the AI generated ones that I have, you could use the tag, or you could search for tags. Okay. I will show off what I built in Notion also. So I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys have Notion or if you played with their custom agents, but they're pretty cool actually. So I don't think you can add custom agents into the base Notion AI, but what you could do is you create an agent. Um, and then what you can do is if you go to like settings for this agent, oh, that was settings, sorry. You can do tools and access, and you could see that I added the PickFu MCP here. So if you go add connection and add custom MCP, you drop that MCP into here and you connect it. And so you can see that the PickFu MCP has all these tools. So now, since it already has it baked in, I could, you know, grab the last 5 finished surveys, um, and it's already built in. So really nice way to use it. And then you could, where if you're somewhere else in the Notion, you could tag it Poly, and then trigger it from other chats within Notion. So it's a really neat way to kind of like build your own agent ecosystem, but it's only a Notion, so it kind of depends on if that's um, the app that you guys are using in your business. So yeah, it can do all the same things. It can generate the images, it can create surveys.
Another cool way that we've used Notion before without having to be in Notion is you can connect the Notion MCP to Claude as well as the PickFu MCP, and then you can do things like once you have survey results, you can ask it to pull them and
Yeah,
put them into Notion for you. So say your team is working together out of a Notion page and you want to share the results you got from PickFu, you can just ask Claude to do all of that at one time.
yeah. So that's kind of the power of um, if I add it here. So make me a Notion page. Here. Make me a Notion page that has everything about this logo identity project and links to all the polls and any results that we already have. and this works really well the other way. So,
Mhm.
in one of our previous webinars, what we did was we had a Notion page that was had it was, I guess it was like a rebrand proposal. So it kind of had all the background information about the business and why we were doing a rebrand and kind of all that supporting information, and then use that to pull into Claude, had it analyze it and propose all the different surveys that we should run um, in support of of this rebrand and also create new variations. And then after that, we save that information back into Notion. So, it's a really nice workflow there.
And you can do this with a lot of like if you have a lot of connectors in Claude, like Justin has, you can turn any of them on and any of them that I think would make sense to push PickFu results back into or that would allow it, you can do
Hmm.
so. So say you have like, you use Linear or Asana or some other project management tool and you want, for whatever reason, some PickFu data in there, you can push it into there, I think in theory, and just connect all of your tools together.
Yeah. What else can I show you while this is building? I was playing with something in Lovable. Let me see if it finished. I was trying to build we've seen some really interesting um, UI that people have built. So what you can do is, let's say you're trying to present your PickFu results, or maybe there's multiple uh, PickFu surveys that you're trying to present either internally or to a client. Um, you could pass all that data. Um, Either, obviously you could just download the CSV and upload it, or you could use the PickFu MCP here. You could also connect connectors in. Let me see connectors. So you can see that I already have the PickFu connector here.
Here's how we take
So
our client.
Sorry.
um, so you could build your own visualizations of surveys. I was trying to build like a whole different dashboard because I've done that a couple times, which is fine. So if you want to use PickFu in a different way, or you want to say integrate click up, click up tasks with PickFu and make like a workflow, you can do that and things like Lovable. So either using the PickFu MCP, or you can go get the API key from PickFu and then also toss it the docs. It's quite good. Just throw it pickfu.com/docs and say like, hey, build an integration to PickFu, and I want you to, you know, take all the cards from this ClickUp project, and I want you to have a one-click button to, run surveys from it. Like that's a totally doable. Okay, well this one's I don't want to get into this because it's asking me for the key. Um,
I was going to say, I just dropped a link to one of our agency partners, builds custom Lovable pages for their clients using PickFu results. And so I can't remember her exact process. I know she does a bunch of things in Claude and then has a skill that I think pushes to Lovable and creates this page based on the client results from PickFu. And then she
yeah,
uses this to present to her clients. So this is kind of an example of what Justin was going to show that you
yeah,
could do, either presenting internally to your team and break down, the different survey results and why people chose which option, or to your clients if you are an agency.
yeah. I think I have my own version here too. Yeah,
Yes.
so this was actually let me get rid of all this. So this was modeled after Daniela is the one that Adrian just showed, and this was the previous one of our previous webinars where we were talking about that rebrand. So basically, the rebrand had a sequence of a bunch of different surveys, and so if we were a agency that wanted to represent these results to our client, then I could use this really nice landing page that basically takes all the results from a bunch of different polls. Um, Even I told it to include screenshots as well, show all the different survey results, and kind of called out a lot of the themes as well. Um, and then had next steps. So really fun to kind of reimagine um, how your results are shared. And then, like I said, you could also, reimagine how you even build surveys or organize your surveys if you want to, see them in a different way than we are presenting on the web.
Yeah, a lot of people, I mean, once you are running a lot of tests, then, it's a lot of text to look through, all the written responses and all of the insights you get. And so this is a good way if you're if you want to present it more visually, or if you're more of a visual learner and that helps you kind of understand everything, it's a good way to put it all together.
Yep. Any questions?
Yeah, if there's any specific demo or tool that you'd want us to walk through that your team is using, happy to demo that for you. Or any other questions you have about using MCP or anything we've talked about.
Yeah, so these are the docs. They're you can read them, but or you can just pass them over to AI. So a lot of
Mhm.
times, um, if you want to build something, so whether you're working with Claude Code or even just Claude or Lovable, just drop the entire like this base URL. Like you don't even need to click through to find a specific page and just tell it that what you're trying to do, what you're trying to build with it, it'll find the right pages. Because this whole this whole thing, or sorry, um, this whole thing is very visible to um, all the different things, all the different AI. So like it can get it in Markdown, it can read it pretty well. So if it needs to read through all the APIs are here. Obviously, if you want to read it, you can as well, but just pass the docs to the AI model and they'll figure it out. And some of the integration directions are in here as well for the MCP. Um, if you're using OpenClaw or something like that, you can, I think we have a skill for that. And it can use the command line interface. Um, so for example, like we built a OpenClaw one in our Slack before we had our Slack agent. We have a separate one that's just an OpenClaw instance that uses the PickFu CLI, and we can use it to run polls and all kinds of different things. And so that's something if you're technically inclined, you can do that as well. Or you could use, I know there's other things like Victor and some other hosted services where you could build these kind of agents into your um, Slack organization.
Should we
And
hop back over to Claude and see if we can
yeah,
pull
let's see if
some
it
of the
finished.
results?
Let me see if
Oh
I,
yeah, our Notion page.
cool. So this is the page that it made. Um, Shows the polls that we ran. This one's still in progress. Um, cool. It even uploaded the um, different variations. Yeah, so this is a nice example of connecting multiple different services and passing the data back and forth and just saving you and your team a lot of work of obviously copy and pasting or even synthesizing information.
Yeah, it's cool that it flags the changes between the two tests. It's like, do not touch these things or
Yeah, yeah, I like that it calls those things out across multiple tests.
or how to read the tests. Yeah,
Cool.
cool.
Any other
We
questions? Anything anyone else wants to share about things that they've tried to build, automations? Would love to hear um, about what people are trying to do in in their workflows and how we could support that.
Mhm.
Or if you want to share privately, would love to, would love to
Yeah,
hear more. You could, drop my email in here if you want to
yeah.
email me
You can email
directly.
us, chat with us in the app. Happy to jump on a session to walk through things with you. Also, since we have time left, if you have any non-AI questions about
Yeah,
PickFu as well, you can ask them in the session. Feel free
yeah,
to just
definitely.
ask any questions you have.
Yeah, so if you're new to PickFu and you have some basic questions about what it is or how we do things, happy to answer any of these questions.
Hmm.
see, where's this one? So this one's already almost done, actually. So 13 out of 15. See which one's winning. Is this one of the new ones?
I think that was one of the new ones. Yeah. I think the option C was the old one. We have a question from Scott Cassidy. He said, I've always wondered, how do you source respondents?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we work with a lot of existing panel companies. So there's an entire industry of consumer panels where different companies will kind of collect consumers and incentivize them for, longer form surveys or political surveys. So the same the same panels that a larger CPG like Procter and Gamble would be using to do their longer form research is what we tap into. So we tap into all the same sources as the big guys, and we do so in an automated way. We have our own layers of targeting and quality control on top of that, because one of the biggest issues when you're tapping into those services is that you typically need in the past, you've always needed a market research consultant to help um, know how to target and also how to keep the data very clean. And so typically those consultants will toss out, manually sift through and like toss out a lot of the data. And we do all that in an automated way. So um, when you're requesting surveys from us, it's going through a pretty rigorous process of quality filtering. And so, we'll typically toss out half the respondents that come through for a variety of different reasons. So if you ask for 15 women, in this case, you should get 15 high quality responses from women. And this works across all the different countries that we have. I think we're up to 16 countries. And um, when we target into different countries, also we target the native language of those countries. So, if it's Mexico, we're targeting Spanish speakers, and the survey form that they see and all the question is everything is translated into Spanish. You can ask the question in Spanish, or we can auto translate it, and we'll make that clear to you when you're building a survey. And then we will translate all the responses back. Um, and you could always translate into a bunch of the other languages that we support as well.
Oh, thanks for the question. I've been dropping a bunch of resources in the chat, so sorry if it's overloading, but I dropped a blog with a list of prompt examples for the MCP in case you want inspiration for getting started with it or want to ask it. I dropped a couple of webinars we've done recently on it as well if you want to learn more. I was thinking, Justin, it might be helpful. It's not AI related, but while we're kind of going through the basics, maybe open the survey builder and walk through some of the
Sure.
new things we have in there. Like we have a few new question types that
Yeah.
we've launched recently.
All right. Let's see what we got here. So if you haven't seen it yet, this is our survey builder. Um, and pretty much anything you can do in here, you should be able to ask the AI or the MCP to build as well.
Mhm.
But some of the cool things, if you haven't seen it yet, we can do things like image sets. Um, so this doesn't have to be Amazon.
Is Justin frozen or am I frozen? It's Justin, okay? I think where he was going with this, hopefully he comes back in a second, is it doesn't have to be Amazon, but we do have an image set tool in the survey builder where you can either, if you are selling on Amazon, drop your ASIN in there and it will automatically import your full image stacks, or you can manually import your images for your product image stacks and it will format it in how you see it on like an Amazon listing. Oh, Justin's gone. I will take over. Hold on one second. Thanks for your patience. Let me pull up Amazon real quick just to show. Okay, so let me grab this shoe listing really quick on Amazon. And go to image set here. And so you can drop your ASIN and it will load it. Or like I said, you can manually upload your images. I think it's up to 9 or something like that. What you would typically see in a product listing, it might take a second to pull it in. But once you do that, you'll be able to preview what it looks like. And yep, so here it goes. It pulled in all of the images here. And you can compare it against like a competitor, or you can upload like alternate images you had that you might want to test and load those in and compare those. So you can click the preview button here. Oh, oh, it's asking me a question. Let's see. Say which one of these would you buy and why? I don't know why that's not working right now. Anyway, that's a cool feature because it lets you obviously upload more than one image at a time, and you can have it in kind of collage format and it looks like a product listing. You can also choose to view it in like a mockup form. So if you have an ASIN or a URL for your product listing, you can drop that there and it will show you like what it would look like on the Amazon listing page. Let me wait a second for that to load. There you go. So if you want to create like a fake Amazon search results page, you can add a bunch of products in here and ask your audience which one they would be most likely to click on. You can also manually edit these. So if you want to test different titles, different ratings, things like that, you can do that. Let me stop sharing for a second. Okay, it looks like Justin still isn't back, so I will keep going. Feel free to, again, drop your questions in the chat anytime. If you have anything else I can answer these last 10 minutes that will be on. Let me pull. Okay. Sorry, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Okay, back at it. Another new feature type we launched, or a question type, sorry, we launched recently is screen recording. So if you, this is really cool, if you want your audience to interact with, let's say like a landing page or something that you want them to just kind of like scroll around and interact with, and you can see them interacting with it, they will record their screens and their voice and answer your question verbally. So instead of typing their response, you'll actually be able to hear them and see them interacting, which is really cool. I think currently you can only target up to 30 people just because these do take much longer to come back. You can target between 5 and 30, so that's a lower amount that you can usually target. And I think, yes, it's available in, no, it's only available in the US right now. But I believe we're launching into other countries soon. But basically, you could add like a URL here and be like, please interact with this landing page. What was confusing about it? What do you think about the product? Or whatever you'd like to know. And then they will record themselves and you'll get a recording and you'll get a transcript. So that's something that a lot of people don't know that we have that we've launched in the last few months or so. So go check that out. We've also have a 5-second test, which is where if you upload one image, the respondents will see the image for 5 seconds only, and then they'll have to answer your question about it. So it's good for like brand recognition. Say you have like a poster or some kind of ad, and you want to know if people got what brand or what product it was. You can ask like, hey, what was the main thing that you remember about this ad? What was the main message that stood out to you? What was the logo? It's a good way for people to, yeah, recognize that or to see if, since people have short attention spans, they look at products, on the shelf for just like a second or two before moving on. Same thing with ads. If you want to make sure that people got your message that you're trying to convey, then that's a good way to test that. I think those are the two newest ones and the ones that a lot of people still aren't using or aren't aware that we have. So definitely go check those out. Okay, so we have another question. Does subscribing instead of just paying for one poll at a time prioritize response time, or is it always first come, first serve? Great question. No, it does not prioritize the response time. It's always first come, first serve, no matter if you're a subscriber to PickFu Plus or if you're just a pay as you go customer. Basically, it just depends on the specific audience you're trying to target. Obviously, polls that target a large and or niche audience, like you're using a lot of targeting traits, will always take longer. It's just a matter of once the poll is launched, it will get sent out to everyone that meets your requirements for your target audience, and they will answer it when they accept it or when we accept them. So it does not matter whether you're a subscriber or not. Good question. Anyone else have any final questions? I will share this recording and the slide deck that we showed at the beginning in an email after the session. Feel free to email me or Justin. I'll put my email here in the chat as well. You can also email support@pickfu.com to reach our customer success team. You can chat with us in the app. Reach out anytime. We actually do hold these office hour sessions every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So if you go to I will drop the link, Luma page where you registered for this one, you will see all of our upcoming events. It's every Thursday. Uh, you can register for one or multiple and just hop in anytime that you can during the hour, and we will answer any questions you have about PickFu. Sometimes we'll dive into specific topics like today's special AI edition. Sometimes we won't have anything specific and we'll just answer whatever questions you bring. So we'll try to usually put in the description if we're covering something specific like today. That way, if you're interested in it, you can definitely make sure you join. It won't always be me and Justin here. A lot of times it is Katie, our awesome customer success lead, who's leading these and who you may have talked to before. So we kind of rotate out. So feel free to join for future events. We're happy to give custom demos. We're happy to bring you on camera if you'd like to walk us through anything that you have that you want to show or get advice on, best practices for polling, things like that. So open to whatever. We're just here to help. All right, let me see if we had anything else to cover. I think that was it. I will share, like I said, all these resources in the follow-up email and the recording. Please go try out the MCP, try out the, CLI if you're brave, try out our PickFu AI sidebar in the web app or those new poll types that I showed, and let us know if you have any questions, any feedback. We're still improving all of these things. And if you are interested in trying our Slack agent, we can give you early access. So just reply to that email or let me know in the chat right now and we can get you access to it. All right. If there are no other questions, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your questions, and you have a good rest of your day. We'll hopefully see you next time. Bye.